Hello, I'm Josh Hart, Cloud Architect at EposNow. EposNow is a cloud-based point-of-sale company, always been cloud native since inception. We're a startup that's grown very, very quickly. In some ways, we've outgrown some of the aspects of our product due to that rapid growth. It has meant that in some areas we've accumulated some degree of technical debt, and that technical debt is in the form of a historically very monolithic .NET framework-based web API. So the issues that we have specifically with this monolithic application now that we have difficulty scaling it, because it being monolithic, you have to scale it in blocks of one, which then, because it's based on Windows servers, .NET framework running on Windows servers, means that there's a relative slowness to booting, which means that not only do we get slow ability to scale the API in response to demand, but also an expense as well due to being able to scale the entire application atomically rather than as individual components. And it's very tightly coupled, so it leads to a very monolithic deployment process where we'll be doing a release cycle on a strict 2-3 week release cycle rather than being able to release individual services more fluidly. Everything was very tied up in this monolithic release process. So AWS approached us knowing some of the technical debt that we'd built up in response to the ways in which the company has scaled with an application modernization program, and recommended the partner kloia to help undertake some of this work. So between ourselves, AWS and kloia, we were able to define what the scope of the work would be, which was decided that we'd be tackling public REST API. So we kicked off by the kloia team visiting our offices in Norwich to scope the work as part of a service discovery session, so that we could define what the acceptance criteria were, what the parameters of success were for fulfilling our desire to split this monolithic application into a service or microservice oriented architecture that we could run on a more modern compute platform within the AWS Cloud. So throughout the process, kloia were in constant contact with us, sharing a lot of best practices around infrastructure as code, around creating pipelines and deployment processes targeting Kubernetes. And there was constant sprint reviews and feedback sessions, so that we were ultimately the gatekeepers over any changes. So we were involved in any key decision, any sort of risk factors, any possible slippages due to unplanned work or unexpected spikes. We were constantly in the loop and constantly involved very, very heavily in that feedback cycle. So we had full visibility on the project as it was being developed continuously. And the end benefits are that we were able to have a brand new public API running on the latest best-in-breed compute platform on Kubernetes, on EKS within the AWS Cloud. And this means that we are able to fulfill a lot of the issues that we had initially with the monolithic API, which means that we can scale a lot more rapidly. We can scale horizontally the number of pods that we have deployed within Kubernetes to spin up more instances of a given service. It's much quicker to scale, much more elastic, much more cloud native scaling that we're able to get from this solution. It means that we've broken down a lot of the coupling within the application, so we can scale individual parts, and we can also deploy individual parts, so we're not beholden to that 2-3 week release cycle anymore. If there's a particularly high impact change that we need to push through with a higher turnaround, we can do that now without the risk of having to redeploy atomically the entire application. We can target a specific service or microservice, and we can just push that through its own end-to-end pipeline without having to affect the wider application scope, which is hugely powerful for iterating quickly. And also it means as well, plus we're now using the latest tools and technologies, which means that we can better innovate on the platform. So there's plans to move more services across to run on this new EKS platform that we've developed. The kloia team implemented a lot of best practices in making sure that the pipeline and the actual platform itself was rock solid. So this is a real good foundation for us, for EposNow, to build on going forwards for their core compute platform. And it also means that we can better attract new talent by using the latest platforms, the latest tools and technologies. It shows to recruiters and would-be prospective candidates that we are a forward-thinking, progressive company that is willing to adopt new technologies. And it's something that has been very much embraced by the wider development team at EposNow. So we've got a lot of buy-in to this, a lot of buy-in to why this is a good thing, and to why the platform decisions, technical decisions that have been made have, and the wider team is really excited about what opportunities this brings for us as a development team in the future.